Today's story is about a versatile group who possesses a multitude of talent and charisma and has successfully managed to stay fresh and attract new fans. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Royce. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. This story begins in Los Angeles, California in 1970 with a group that comprised of Henry Garner, Terry Santillo, LaQueen Duke Job, Michael Moore and Gwen Dickey, all performed with the group using the stage name Rose Norwalk. It consisted of Kenny Copeland, Kenji Brown, Freddie Dunn, and Michael Nash. These two groups were formed by Copeland and Garner. Both were preparing for graduation from high school and contemplating their careers.
By the time Henry Garner, Kenny Copeland, and Freddie Dunn entered Washington High, they were bent on forming a funk ensemble like Earth, Wind, and Fire, or Kool in the Gang. They scoured South Central for the best and most ambitious musicians they could find. They picked up two excellent instrumentalists from nearby Lock High, another school that had lots of gang violence and musical talent. Keyboardist Victor Nix, and a 16-year-old prodigy on bass named LaQuint Duke Job. He'd already shared a stage with the Coasters, the Drifters, and James Brown.
He was an incredible player. Anything he played, he'd pick up just like that.
That turned out to be easy. After 10 minutes of jamming on a Kool in the Gang song, Duke was in.
We started that song off and sounded better than the record. We all looked at each other, we just stopped playing on the same beat. Nobody cut it off, we just stopped playing it. We looked at each other and we just laughed hard as we could, because we knew we had it.
They gave themselves an ambitious name, Total Concept Unlimited, TCU for short.
After high school, the two decided to go the route of the music business under the name Total Concept Unlimited, and later as Magic Wand, where they auditioned for Edwin Starr. Starr hired them as his backup band, and the group's association with Starr enabled them to interact with numerous music industry personalities. One in particular was MOTOWN producer Norman Whitfield. Whitfield gradually became associated with the group by hiring him for recording sessions. The group also worked with Yvonne Fair, The Undisputed Truth, and The Temptations through Whitfield's influence.
TCU caught a break when they heard that Motown artist Edwin Starr, he was riding the success of a top 10 hit called War, was looking for a backup band. Starr came down to the rehearsal garage on Haas Avenue to check the group out. He was so impressed that he hired TCU on the spot and talked them up to celebrated Motown writer-producer Norman Whitfield. The man behind I Heard It Through the Grapevine, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, Cloud 9, and many other Motown hits. Whitfield loved everything about TCU, including the fact that they were from the hood. When Whitfield left Motown in 1974 and formed his own label, Whitfield Records, he signed TCU as one of his first acts. From the start, he had a vision of the group that was strictly first class. And he moved the guys into his Beverly Hills mansion to help prepare them psychologically for what was to come. The group was set, except for one final detail: a better name.
After a couple of years of seasoning, the group began production on its debut album under Whitfield's supervision. Also during this time, MCA Records was seeking an artist for the soundtrack to the movie Car Wash. Whitfield convinced executives that the band was more than competent for the job. So the material that Whitfield had assembled for the group's debut album became the movie soundtrack material. The movie and the soundtrack were big hits, and they also propelled the group, now known as Royce, into national recognition. Released in late 1976, the soundtrack featured 3 Billboard R&B Top 10 singles with Car Wash.
There ain't no telling who you might be. A movie star.
I want to get next to you.
Oh, baby, to see things my way. But not
and I'm going down
The rain against my window pane is slow.
to offset any negative rhetoric regarding its legitimacy. The group released its follow-up album, Rolls Royce 2 in full bloom, and bloom it did. The group returned to the top 10 with Do Your Dance and Old Boy, silencing all critics.
Once I get my hands on you, ooh, boy.
Whitfield saw opportunity when Universal Studios asked him to produce the soundtrack for a movie about, of all things, life in a South Central LA car wash. First, he had to convince Universal to take a chance on a bunch of unknowns. Then he had to convince Rolls Royce. The key, of course, was coming up with an irresistible title song. Inspiration struck while Norman was playing basketball at home with the guys.
In 1978, they released their third album entitled Rolls Royce 3 Strikes Again, and it featured I'm in Love. And Love Don't Live Here Anymore, both singles cracked the Billboard R&B Top 5.
When you lived in
Just like many groups around this time, Rolls Royce members faced drug habits.
I can do anything I want. I can go anywhere I want to go.
I said, Freddie, remember when we talked about this? I said, look at this. It's really happening.
But for Duke Job, the band's success brought more than money.
I was using drugs like water. It was an everyday thing. Every night on stage, I was high. Every night.
One of the platinum records I brought in today, I brought it in to remind me of that time. If you look on that platinum record, you'll see the glasses all scratched up on the front of it. Duke and I partied on that. First couple of nights, they gave me that record.
In the industry, you're popular as I am, you don't pay for drugs. You don't pay for no drugs. That's the last thing you're gonna pay for. Is some drugs. That's free.
Also due to the group's rise in popularity, and Whitfield making Dickie the face of the group caused internal problems, which led to Dickie leaving the group.
Meanwhile, tensions grew between Gwen, the star attraction, and the guys who feared they were fast becoming backup players in their own band.
I wanted to sing more. At first I didn't, but now I did.
Norman was trying to create another Diana Ross with Gwen, so Kenny was going to be an afterthought. And Kenny was like, hey, I can sing too. Put me out there, so self-destruction.
And Norman Whitfield's attitude didn't help.
He comes to the airport with a full-length black diamond mink coat. And I'm wearing just a normal nice coat. And he said, take that coat off. You're a superstar. With all the guys standing there, that's like adding fuel to the fire. And of course, I'm sure they were hurt by it.
They always made her uncomfortable. She did what she had to do, but she didn't like the resentment. She could feel the resentment. It was there all the time.
So one day I did go to Norman, and I said, you know what, I'm getting sick of these guys because they feel that you should give more songs to Kenny. And I was saying, I don't care about them. I'll get rid of all of them as long as I got you. I'll get 8 chickens, dress them up, put you in front of them, and they can leave. So when I told them what he said, they were upset.
The guys would be even more upset when they took a look at the financial books and the royalties they were or weren't getting.
Why didn't you pay me my money, man? Why didn't you pay me my money?
The chemistry between the guys and the girl and the super producer in charge was going bad.
I knew that it would be the last song that I ever recorded with the band because I'm done here. And it was a perfect song. So I went in the studio and I was so mad. I put the headphones on. You abandoned me. Love don't live here anymore. And he said, that's perfect. Sing it just like that. But I was singing it like that because I was so angry. And he loved it. He loved it.
Sure enough, Love Don't Live Here Anymore shot to number 5 on the R&B charts. Rolls Royce's third album, Rolls Royce Strikes Again, sold 500,000 copies. For the public, the band could do no wrong. But behind the scenes, Norman Whitfield began giving more of his attention and best songs to other groups on his label. When Rolls-Royce released its fourth album, Rainbow Connection, in 1979, there were no big hits and modest sales.
And that was new to us. We're used to everything going out and 3 weeks later it's blasting on the radio. But wait a minute, we did the album, I don't hear it on the radio.
That's when you start altering things. But you don't ever want to get to the point to where you start panicking and then start making stupid decisions on emotions.
Success made up for a lot of problems, but failure quickly brought them to a head.
Henry came to my house once and I said to him, I'm leaving the group. And he said, no, we need to talk. I said, we've been talking, but you are not listening.
Okay, that's Gwen's version of the breakup. The current members of the band tell a different story. According to them, the group was in a meeting at Warner Brothers and about to sign a rich new deal when Gwen didn't show. Instead, her manager called with a message.
Listen, Gwen is not going to sign a new deal unless she gets 50% of the entire deal. Everybody was in shock. And I told Jay Cooper, tell Gwen's manager, not only are we not going to give her half of the deal, tell her she's fired. Before I let anyone come into my house and tear it up, I'll blow it up myself.
That's brilliant. That is absolutely priceless. I never asked for half of anything. That is not a true story. That is something that somebody made up in their head. I left the band because I was fed up with them. It's what they wanted.
In the guys' minds, they wanted to fire her because they were upset at some of the things that went down. And I guess in Gwen's mind, she wanted to quit because she was upset at them the way things went down. So it was all mutual.
Singer Richie Benson replaced Dickie, and the group released 7 more albums throughout the 1980s but never achieved the same star status as they had in the 1970s. The group began to tour in the 1990s throughout the US and UK and continued to have moderate success, releasing 6 compilation albums. The 2008 Universal Studios fire destroyed hundreds of artists' musical files, including Rolls-Royce. To this day, Rolls-Royce continues to tour and perform live shows around the world. Now, before we go, I have a few questions for you all. Did you like Rolls-Royce? Also, what is your favorite song from the group?